Georgia has become a haven for developers, artists, and musicians who fuel gaming culture.
Maybe one day I want to build these games. I've been a gamer since a super early age. When I was very young, my father brought home a Magnavox Odyssey Pong system. So this was as low tech as you can get. One little ball, two paddles. You didn't even have digital scoring. When I scored on you, there was a little peg on the machine that you'd move one piece forward. That's how low tech it was. From there, Commodore 64, Apple II, IBM PC, and that's what allowed me to decide maybe one day I want to build these games. So one of our great partners at Resurgence and Skillshot and Ghost are our friends at Cxmmunity and Cxmmunity Media. And I think we originally hooked up at Access Replay, which is an amazing spot on the Atlanta Beltline, not around anymore. So we've been fortunate to do a bunch of projects together, including shooting the HBCU Esports League in the Skillshot production studio and hosting some great events in the atrium of Skillshot, including a few coming up soon.
So Cxmmunity, we started originally as Cxmmunity, Gaming Community Co., but our goal was to increase representation of Black and brown youth in esports and video game industry. I am Chris Peay, co-founder and chief marketing officer of Cxmmunity Media and the Cxmmunity Foundation. Awesome. Very early on, we found out from a survey actually through the Georgia Game Developers Association that 83% of Black youth play video games, but then only 4% work within the video game industry. And so that's something that we wanted to try and overcome, really kind of break down some barriers just being gamers ourselves. And then kind of set out to reach that goal. That's kind of the origin story of Cxmmunity. And so our goal was to raise as much money as possible. We partnered with a group called HBCU Heroes, JP Morgan Chase, and so really just started to use our relationships that we had developed from years of just working, I guess a few years of working corporate jobs. We raised about $118,000 in a 24-hour time period to essentially be able to purchase laptops. We just hotspot devices, some tablets, and then we were able to donate them to local HBCU students as well as, again, Atlanta public school system students to be able to do their distance learning so that they weren't left behind during, COVID. And so that was like our second event where, we kind of were able to make some impact, and then I think from there it was like, man, there's a real business in this.
I always called it this. It's gonna sound crazy, but I call it Wakanda. Atlanta is like Wakanda. It's like a mixture, a melting pot of so many creatives in one space. It's been interesting to see, like, meeting people who aren't even from here kind of indulge in Atlanta's culture and just like embrace it as their own. Like I wouldn't say I'm from Atlanta, but I feel very good about like the community and their welcoming, their energy. Like I'm from the DMV and we have so many conventions here. Like it's literally the best place to be. My name is Karima Jennifer, also known as Supreme Sensei, and I am a content creator and media personality. Always been a gamer since I was a kid. My uncle got me into gaming. He pretty much introduced me to like Donkey Kong, Mario when I was younger. My mom was a gamer as well.
And Karima is over here making history.
I've used my platform to vouch for Atlanta and Georgia for a long time. A lot of my mutuals know that I'm always like, you need to move to Atlanta. Like I'm like, move to Atlanta because with you here, we have more opportunity for collaboration. So my platform has been converted into this mother figure, especially with the creation of Big Creator, a collective for nano and micro influencers. People know me as the girl who can lead them to opportunities, inspire them to do this, grow their platform here. And Atlanta is just the central hub. Like, to get to Karima, to get to Supreme, you gotta go to Atlanta.
Controllerize was already an event when me and Blake were bartending at the venue that they were at. And the community that they had was just really, really awesome that it ended up, absorbing me and him into it. Specifically, Cartridge ATL contributed to the growth of the ecosystem. Before Controllerize, there was like people doing like events to this, that, and third, but there was never ever like another community other events in the wake of Cartridge, and I love to see that community grow. It gives the producers more places to perform at, it gives the gamers more places to compete at, it gives communities more places to just have fun at. It's like not everybody wants to go to the club every weekend. Some people do enjoy like going to a room of people and playing games and just hearing some dope beats, and it's dope to see that now is a standard in Atlanta. It's like it's a thing. It's not like, oh man, the only place I can go find that is at this place. There is more of a focus on the experience and not just the gaming. For people who are not like diehard gamers, there's still stuff for you to do there where you can still get engulfed in like the culture or the vibe of it without having to feel like you got to be the best in Tekken or know what these people are talking about. You don't have to like go too far nerd to enjoy it.
I am Dr. Erica R. Jones, MD. I'm a board certified family medicine physician and STEM enthusiast. There's a hub here of just people who are open-minded, who support each other. They're like, oh, what you doing over there? Like, oh, so even things that might not have been natural in the past are actually just kind of meshing, and you see it like converging. And you see the bigger brands like, Nike, right? They're putting out Tekken shoes, they're putting out Fortnite shoes, and you're like, oh, they catching on. But the beauty of Atlanta is we have our micro communities, right? Like, wait, these are connected, and this is where our community actually needs to be able to fill this gap. So when you hear TJ talk about the story of building out that gaming portion in the Soul Play Store in Decatur, it's amazing because he was one of the visionaries that saw the usefulness of it and saw that we need to be able to take up some space in this esports community, in this gaming community, because a lot of us may not have those games at home. So TJ understood that in terms of like the whole concept of building out a gaming center inside a sneaker store. As far as the Soul Circle Foundation is concerned, we understand the need for representation in tech. In all of these different facets, you see like, okay, that's nice, that's going. Like this is, the esports community is bigger than music, It's bigger than the things that we're being fed on a day-to-day basis. So our whole goal is to uplift the underserved so that they understand that there's opportunity. That opportunity is there for the taking. We just need tools, we just need resources.
We ourselves can add value to the spaces that interest us most. I think, growing up, we all, get told to get a job, but we still have the things that we pursue on a regular basis. The first piece is identifying that, or really recognizing our interest and our work can be aligned and they can be one. And through that, we'll be able to add much more value over time.
One of the pieces that we don't talk about as much is how gaming is beneficial to learning, not just for myself as an adult, but even the youth. Why not use it to be a gateway for kids to understand, to learn better, to get access to more opportunities with school, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be higher education, right? And so when we have the average home value in Atlanta now at like 500,000 plus, and in the country, not too far, if they're not into STEM or STEAM for jobs, at least making, 70,000 plus by the time they're 18, they're not going to be able to maybe even afford rent in a lot of cities. And so I think one of the things Atlanta's doing a good job at is kind of explaining to the rest of the world, or letting them know the model of what gaming might have been, the images of the 1980s being just kind of with your Atari stuck in front of the TV and not moving or going anywhere for hours. But it really is in kind of, all sectors in our lives.
As a student in high school, the same way that you could become a varsity player in football, soccer, baseball, tennis, volleyball, what have you, you can also become a varsity player in esports and play your favorite video game and compete on a national scale at that point to win money, to win prizes, to win notoriety. And so again, it's like one of those things where Georgia kind of bought in, but then again, it's like in the city of Atlanta, we realized that there was youth, essentially, the schools that we knew, like the MLKs of the world, the schools that are predominantly black, they didn't have esports programs. And so the biggest thing that we found out there was because of access. So it's not that, we weren't playing the video games or the students weren't playing the video games, they just didn't have access to those things to be able to compete professionally.
We just opened up the esports center with community at the MLK Natatorium. And I think it's important to always get back to our roots. So right before Dr. King was assassinated, he talked about the importance of economic advancement for our people. And we know that oftentimes people that look like us have been overrepresented in the occupations where it's, it's kind of low wages, right? And we're underrepresented in the occupations where you might be able to get a higher wage. So it's important, especially in America, for us to understand that we can do all the things. We can get in these fields. It's not a lack of, education is not the lack of hard work. There's a lack of information flow.
High-Res Studios is probably the largest game development company in the state of Georgia. And being able to work with Todd for his second venture, Skillshot ended up taking on the production of the HBCU Esports League. We also work closely with the City of Atlanta on our nonprofit side. So the City of Atlanta, we're in the process now of building out esports labs in underserved communities. So we work with other land centers such as Battle and Brew. Battle and Brew is a pretty cool spot where you can go, similarly to what Access Replay was. You can go, you can play video games, you eat, you drink, and you just hang out with friends. And so for the most part, I would say gaming as like an entertainment sector started out to be an individual thing where you're gaming at your home, and then birthed, online gaming where you can now play online with your friends. And then now it's super pivotal that I think, these other spots like Battle and Brew, like Access Replay exist, because now you can go and kind of play and connect with your current friends or just people that are also interested in the game that you might have met online, and now you have a place to go in person to continue to do the thing that y'all did when you were meeting online.
For anyone interested in learning more about the game industry here in Georgia or plugging in, I would strongly recommend checking out Games Week Georgia. That's gamesweekgeorgia.com. It is an event that we started last year with a bunch of partners, and it's coming back this October, so October 2025. It's a full week of events.
Together, creators are shaping a new era for gaming, right here in Georgia.